All right, guys. Our next guest was last seen teasing us for over 20 grueling minutes over who he'd be fighting next. And alas, he's now scheduled to take on Michael Chandler next week in a fight that has everybody absolutely buzzing, on an event that has everybody pumped. UFC 257, the hangman himself, the pride of New Zealand, Dan Hooker, with the Kiwi flag hanging overhead. Welcome back to your second home. How are you, man?
Ah, good, good. Well, you boys, there's 20 minutes of you guys uh, shooting in the dark and being bang on the money. So that was
Yeah, so we basically
20 minutes of
predicted
me,
it.
20
We,
minutes of me playing dumb.
It's probably harder for you than it was for us. It felt like an edging video for us. Give us the payoff,
what,
Dan.
how close did you get to cracking there, Dan? Were you like, oh, I might just let these guys know, or I imagine it would have been pretty like, hard to keep in that secret.
Oh, it was still like so like we didn't get that thing like we didn't get the fight signed and sealed till like the day or two before I got on the plane to come over here. So it was like it all got announced like 2 weeks out, but it was up in the air for a good 6 weeks of training. So I was, in camp training through Christmas, training through all the New Year's and holidays and things like that. And it was still up in the air. So I was just glad that it all came through.
Yeah, exactly like you mentioned it. I saw Dana White said that Charles Oliveira was in the mix there for a little bit. Was it at any point were you like, oh man, I hope I'm not doing this camp for nothing. I hope that, this comes through or something, or were you just happy that you were sort of putting yourself in a position where if things worked out, you'd be there where you're sitting right now?
I had the faith. I had the faith. That's all you need. Just yeah, that was funny when Dana said, oh, well, we tried to get Charles to take it. I was thinking, what? I've been training for this fight for 5 weeks. I trained 6 a.m. on Christmas Day for this. What are you trying to give this fight away to someone else? So I was just, man, I was always, because you're always in two minds, but that's definitely not when it comes to the training. Like the training was always super locked in, but outside of that, when you start looking at everything, you start getting a bit worried. Like, man, is this actually going to go through? But stuck with it, and truly glad that I got all those sessions out.
So what was it, the actual hold up? Because when we were talking, you told us you were like, it's definitely not Charles Oliveira, as in he wasn't offered to you. But like, what was the hold up between the time you spoke to us and then I think it was about 2.5 weeks before it got locked in? What were you waiting for? Was it Chandler signing the contract? Were they still trying to get other people? What was it?
I have no. I think just because the environment it is at the moment with the COVID and getting people over here and like the complexity of getting me back to New Zealand with the isolation. I think there were just so many moving parts that it just took a while for everything to fall into place. I don't think anyone was trying to. I don't feel like anyone, the UFC was trying to do me dirty or anything like that, or there was any big hold up. I just felt like there were so many moving parts and so many things that could go wrong, but perfect storm. And I'm over here, he's over here. We're all through the COVID testing, so I'm happy with that.
So, I mean, you mentioned Fight Island, and I imagine you'd be thinking about, oh, what would that experience be like? Break it down for us, man. How has the experience on Fight Island been? Has it been what you imagined it? I imagine just getting used to the time difference, the heat, the weirdness of, sort of isolating initially would have been an interesting experience to begin with.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool to get out and travel. That's like one thing you have to remind yourself. It's cool to be able to travel to the other side of the world and get around and experience somewhere I've never been. I've never been to Dubai, never been to Abu Dhabi. So we landed. It was, I think it was like 20 hours all up. We stopped in KL on the way through, got to Dubai, and then we drove from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. But there was like this weird testing station on the border because there's borders between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and there's like a weird testing station like out in the middle of the desert, and we stopped there and we're going through there, and it was all like it was all real strange. It was like kind of War of the Worlds type of thing. Like it was real just these tents popped up in the middle of nowhere in the desert. And you go in there, and there's people that's not like really speaking English, and then we go through there, and there's like constant misunderstandings. Like we're with the UFC, and they're like, oh, you need to do this, and we're gonna put a tracking watch on you and things like that.
Tracking
watch.
Like,
the heck. Yeah, and then they're like, so yeah, that's how they do it. If you're coming into Abu Dhabi, you get they put like a watch on you just to make sure, and there's like GPS on that, and they can track you to make sure that you're doing your quarantine. But then at the last minute, they all kind of clicked and were like, oh no, they're exempt, because they were going to test us on the border and chuck the watch on, but then they changed their minds and they were like, no, they're with the UFC, they're exempt from all of this. Like, here's the papers, away you go, like carry on. It was like pretty wild. And then we arrived in Abu Dhabi at the hotel, and it's just cool here, man. It's crazy the amount of it's crazy the facility that they've got set up here with everything. The hotel, we got out of our 48-hour quarantine. That's not like that strict. We're allowed to, still getting out, training. Time moved fairly quickly. But then this morning, 48-hour lockdown in our room finished. So we got down to the gym this morning for a workout, checked out the pool, checked out the restaurant, and just the facility is incredible.
I saw you messaging with Dennis, and you mentioned you had a sleep, I think, from 5 p.m. till 2 a.m. So I think if the submission rated mathematics team is correct, it's like 9 hours. So that's not a sleep. You had a coma. You had a short coma, Dan. You've since come out of the coma, so that's great.
And then coma? How much do you boys sleep? I get a solid 9 hours. Man, I slept. So we were like 20 hours on the plane. I shit you not, I slept like 12, 13 of those 20 hours. I've got an incredible skill. I've got like an incredible skill of managing to fall asleep on planes. So I did like 12, 13 hours sleeping on the plane.
Jesus, the embedded would have been crazy for that one. The embedded guys are there watching you sleep, like, come on, he's gonna do something any second.
Yeah.
Now we're preparing for landing.
Is this guy gonna move? All he does is play PlayStation and sleep.
And you heating up your food with a hairdryer. We saw on your stories you're doing that. What's that all about?
Oh, just a bit of quarantine trickery. That's just make it more enjoyable. They're doing good, they're dropping the food off to our rooms. There's 3 meals a day, fighter meals, corner meals. But it was good to get downstairs to the restaurant this morning and try something new.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, this is going to be such an exciting fight. People are really, really pumped for it. But I'm wondering, how do you feel about having some fans there? It looks like there's going to be a couple of thousand fans in attendance. Do you imagine it's going to be, you mentioned how strange it was, and it was a little bit harder to turn on last time against Dustin. Do you imagine it's going to be much different, or is it not enough fans to really feel, you reckon, maybe during fight night compared to, the 18, 16, 20, 30,000 that you're usually used to?
Oh, I definitely feel it's not going to be the same as that. It's not going to be the same as a sold out arena. That like when a sold out arena of fans are screaming at you, you feel that. There's like a crazy energy, and that's what Dana was saying about it. That's the way he wanted to do it. He didn't necessarily want it to do this way, but my view is it's great to have the fans back, and I would rather those 2,000 fans than no fans. And I think it'll be cool fighting in an arena again. I think the arena aspect of it is like a huge part as well. Just like fighting in the Apex, like fighting in a room in Vegas was hard to get going. But I feel like the arena and the fans that are there, that'll be enough to like spark a little bit of adrenaline, I think.
Let me ask you this. By the way, I'm very excited that the fans are going to be in attendance. I think it's just going to be awesome for the atmosphere. But let me ask you this, because when we last spoke, or actually a few interviews ago, and Chandler was the backup for Khabib Gaethje, and we sort of asked you how that fight goes, you admitted that you weren't super familiar with Chandler or his style. When was it that you actually kind of sat down and familiarized yourself for the first time with Michael Chandler?
When they messaged me about the fight, when Sean Shelby, to be like, hand on my heart, I'd never sat down and watched the Michael Chandler fight. before that moment. And the UFC messaged me, "Are you interested to fight on this card?" I knew it was the McGregor Poirier undercard, and it'll probably be the co-main event for that show. And then, man, I just jumped on the opportunity. I said yes straight away. It took me 10 seconds to think about it. I said yes to it straight away. Started having a look at him, and I definitely give him credit for what he's achieved. And I can see where all the excitement is coming from. Like, the guy's been competing at the highest level for such a long period of time. Like, his third fight he ever had was in Bellator. That's pretty incredible. The stretch and the run at the top tier that he's had. So yeah, I definitely see what all the fuss is about.
I know that you've had trouble finding opponents in the past and throughout your run. We were talking about Charles Oliveira not too long ago, and that fight never came together. Does a part of you sort of respect Michael Chandler for at least being one of the few guys in the division to put up his hand and fight you, especially on his debut fight with so much on the line for him?
Oh, I think he's running out of options. I think they started. I think they started a little fed up. Initially when I got approached to the fight, I heard it was they were talking to Gaethje or something about the fight, and obviously he didn't. They just worked their way down the list, so he pulled the. It's his luck of the draw. They went down the list. They tried to get Charlie Olives to take it. He didn't want it, so. They ended up with me, and I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy to welcome him.
I love it. Charlie Olives just got a new nickname he didn't even know he had right here on Substrator, courtesy of Dan Hooker. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think makes Chandler so dangerous for you? What is his most dangerous aspect as a fighter and as a challenge to yourself? How do you feel you match up against him?
I would say it's just like his danger will be in his high risk, high reward style. Like, you go back and he doesn't start slow. Like, you go back and look at any fight he's had, there's no he's not really big on feeling out processes. He come out there, and as soon as he gets a chance, he's gonna try and take your head off. So it's a high risk, high reward style. It's led to him with a lot of first round finishes, but it's also, been it's a detriment to him as well. He's been clipped early on in fights. So I'm just expecting a fast start. I think the danger will lie in those first moments of the fight, until I get my timing and find my range, and then I think it'll be fairly easy for me to control the fight after that.
Have you guys run into each other at the fighter hotel yet, or have you run into his team yet, or anything like that?
No, I haven't seen him. I've seen a couple of the boys. I've seen Neil Magny and the team just downstairs at breakfast once I got out of my quarantine. So it was good to see some of those boys. I haven't seen them for a while since I was back over there training at Team Elevation. So it's good to see some friendly faces on Fight Island.
Absolutely. Well, it's a small hotel. I'm sure you'll run into a lot of the guys there. Might even catch Khabib having his meeting with Dana White. Maybe take in and be like, "Hey, I'm just going to hijack this meeting while I got you here, Dana." But here's the thing. Every time you go into the cage, obviously you want to prove that your opponent isn't on your level, or at least that you're a level above your opponent. Is that even more the case here with Chandler because he's coming in from Bellator? And I know you've joked around calling him from the B League. And also the fact that the UFC have kind of put him on a bit of a pedestal, putting him as a backup for title contention.
I want everyone to give him as much, the credit he deserves. I feel like he definitely deserves all of that momentum he's got behind him, and I just want the reward that come with the momentum that he has behind him. Everyone, they're putting him as the backup for the title. They're giving him all this hype. People saying he's one fight away from earning a title shot in the UFC. I want all of that because I want to go out there, beat him, and take all of that excitement that he has behind him. I don't want it to be the case where I beat him clean and they go, "Oh, he mustn't have been that good anyway." I think he is that good. I think he does deserve that. I just feel, and I know that I'm a better fighter.
Yeah, the whole backup situation to this McGregor-Poirier fight, how do you look at that? Because all in all, everything is pretty safe down there on Fight Island. The UFC has done such a good job. It's not really something you should have to worry about, especially when it's out of America where things are really, really bad. But does it part of you sort of worry a little bit? Oh, hey, like, what if something happens to Dustin Poirier? What if something happens to Conor McGregor? And he does get that call up. And is there sort of like a backup for the backup? So is there a backup to Michael Chandler that's there on the island for you?
Baby, I'm stepping in. You would have to send the security up to my room if say Dustin Poirier fell out and then they threw him into McGregor. I'm doing the what's that movie where the ice skating chick breaks the other one's knee?
I Dan Hooker. I Hooker.
I Hooker. I will be eye hooking him in the bloody breakfast buffet. There's no way. At the end of the day, I truly feel like that's just going to come down to whoever McGregor picks. You know, if something did happen to Poirier, I feel like it just comes down to whoever McGregor wants to pick. It's between me and Chandler. So I'm focusing on Chandler. I'm 100% focused on that and that fight. Everyone's here. Everyone's on the island. Everyone's been tested, and so I think the chances of that turning out or someone failing a COVID test is slim to none anyway.
I agree with you. I think like now that Connor's I think in Dubai, but everyone else is sort of there. I think you're all pretty much sweet. But I am curious though, like from your perspective when dealing with the UFC, how does that work? We all sort of see, Hooker and Chandler, all right, that's kind of like the backup fight, and that's probably why the UFC wants you guys on there, other than the fact that, it's an awesome fight. But do they ever speak to you and say, hey guys, just letting you know, you might be called up or you might be the backup fight? And aside from Conor deciding who he wants to fight, do they ever verbalize it to you and say, you guys might get the call up? Or is it just kind of like sign the contract, but you know what it means?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of sign the contract, you know what it means. That's pretty much it.
It's fascinating because I always thought these things were kind of a little more official than that.
Nah. People always expect that. Even the whole process, they think it's a little more official. But I truly feel like the people that understand the sport, have followed the sport, and that know the sport, you can get a pretty clear understanding of how things are going to play out or how things are going to go. You guys there have been following the sport for so long. You picked Michael Chandler like as my opponent. You feel things out. Things just make sense, and the UFC just does and follows through with things that make the most sense.
Yeah, the most sense. But let's quickly ask this though: when it comes to if something did happen, do you spend some time looking at Conor McGregor just in case something crazy happens, you end up matching up with him? Or is he a guy you're pretty familiar with anyway? I mean, everyone's seen most of the Conor McGregor fights in the UFC, so he's a guy that you already know what you're preparing for. And I suppose on the flip side of the coin, Dustin Poirier is a guy that you know very well as well. So if something crazy happens and you ended up having to fight him and move up to the main event against Dustin Poirier in a rematch, that's a matchup that you know well as well. So is it just a case of sort of familiarizing yourself with Conor McGregor?
Yeah, like that's Conor McGregor is another one of those he's like the champ pretty much. That's probably the number one reason why it's difficult to maintain a title or be a champion for an extended period of time, because everyone's training for you. Everyone's training for you. If you're the champion, you're just taking the next comer, and whatever style or game that they have at the time. But those top 20, top 30, top 40, top 50 guys see you as the champ, and they start thinking, man, if I was going to fight Khabib, this is how I fight him. Conor's one of those guys. I guarantee you the top 50, the top 100 lightweights in the world have thought about how they would fight Conor McGregor, and I'm no different. I've watched his whole career. I definitely respect his skills. Skill for skill with Khabib out of the picture. I truly feel that McGregor's the most technically sound lightweight that there is.
Wow.
Because he mentioned to Oscar Willis how he believes the title could be on the line for this fight. Many people believe, the title maybe should be on the line in this Dustin Poirier Conor McGregor fight with Khabib out of the picture. Do you think so as well?
Yeah, I feel like the Poirier McGregor fight makes the most sense for the title. Both guys coming off wins. They're the only two guys coming off with a bit of momentum behind them. I definitely feel like this fight should be for the title, but it doesn't look like it's going to be this one. But whoever is successful between Poirier and McGregor, it's going to be them fighting for the title next. They're definitely the it's kind of like an unofficial interim title.
Yeah, more of this official, unofficial business. It's like it's like The Departed. People think they know what's going on. You're going to be Mark Wahlberg at the end, rocking up on a rooftop with hairnets on your shoes, bang, throwing a wrench and everything. But I was going to say, so okay, it makes sense, right? The winner of Dustin and Conor fights for the belt. But what about you and Chandler? What are the stakes here? What are you guys fighting for?
Well, I feel like they put him as the backup for the title. They're saying he's one fight away from the title. They tried to get Gaethje. They tried to get Oliveira. They turned the fight down. And now I'm stepping in and fighting Michael Chandler because they didn't take the fight. So, they had him as the backup for the title. They're saying he's one fight away from the title. I'm just saying this is the sport of opportunities. Gaethje didn't want it. Charles Oliveira didn't want it. I took the fight. I stepped into that spot. I want the opportunity. I'm stepping up to the plate. I took this fight. I trained through everything. I trained through all of the uncertainty. I want the same reward that either one of those two guys would have got had they taken the fight.
Just to clarify, what is that reward? Is that the winner of Conor and Dustin, or is that just any title shot against anyone?
It would be. It has to be. It has to be the winner of Poirier McGregor.
Mm.
That's who you would pick. But everyone's saying that they're trying to make Charlie Olives and Gaethje. It'll come down to who has the most impressive performance. If they go out there and have a snooze fest or there's something like that, or it's close, or anything can happen. One of those two gets, even though he wins, he breaks his hand or he gets injured, then it'll be the winner of our fight. Like, I feel like winner of Conor Poirier is the next to title, and then our other two fights are kind of the one that's going to step across from him is the person that can put on the best performance.
For sure. And I want to touch on the moment that's going to follow immediately after your performance at UFC 257 in a second. But just quickly, for anybody that's looking to potentially make bets on UFC 257 or any of the upcoming fights, for anybody that likes to not only watch an awesome fight and an awesome knockout, but also cash big checks off of those fights and off of those knockouts, there's only one place you should go for that feeling, and that is mybookie.ag. Mybookie.ag has better bonuses and more MMA odds than any other sportsbook, period. Plus, it is NFL playoffs, and nobody does game day better than MyBookie. Whatever you want to make a future bet on, do so, or you can do live wagering or take on player props. MyBookie, it's got something for you. It's got something for everybody. They're the only sportsbook that we recommend. They take good care of us when we bet, and they pay fast when you win. And if you sign up with the promo code submission, MyBookie will match your deposit halfway up to $1,000. So visit mybookie.ag online today. That is MYBOOKIE. Don't forget to use the promo code submission. Bet, win, get paid. Only at mybookie.ag. Speaking of MyBookie and watching things, we mentioned the NFL playoffs. If you want to watch a bunch of sports, but you're not in the region, if you, for example, want to watch MMA, you want to watch the UFC, you want to watch pay-per-views, you want to watch fight nights, and let's say you can't for whatever reason, let's say they're blacked out in your region, you can through pure VPN. You can change your region. You can say that, hey, I'm living in the US, when in reality you're living in Australia. You can change your region and potentially find cheaper pay-per-view prices in countries where they pay less for pay-per-view. And you can do it nice and legally with PureVPN, who are giving away a great deal at the moment. They're giving 99 cents for a 7-day trial, so you've got nothing to lose there, and 47% off for a 1-year plan, or 70% off for a 2-year plan. And if you use the promo code submission, you get an additional 10% off. And you can check out all sorts of sports channels like ESPN, BT Sport, Globo, or anything all over the world. Netflix, different regions, ESPN Plus, Hulu, Disney Plus, anything you can pretty much imagine. And you can do all of that while keeping your balls smooth with Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0, the best grooming device on the market. Whether you're somebody who does jiu-jitsu and don't want to be flossing your partner's teeth when you're in north-south, whether maybe you're someone who just goes to the gym and you want your balls smooth, maybe you go on tons of dates and want your balls smooth, maybe you go on 0 dates and want to go on more dates, maybe you're in a lifelong relationship and just want to keep your balls smooth for your partner, or maybe you just want to up your confidence and groom yourself like a real person of 2021, you can do so with Manscaped. And if you use the promo code submission, you get an additional 20% off. But Dan, I wanted to ask you, you have been known for some of your memorable post-fight call-outs and post-fight messages to people and the division. Probably no more so memorable than the time you called out Paul Felder while he was interviewing you. But I wanted to ask you, because it's a McGregor card, because of the magnitude of the event, because the whole world will be watching, has that crossed your mind? Have you thought about those moments, if all goes to plan and you beat Michael Chandler, what you're going to say and what those moments are going to be like immediately after the fight, what you might say?
Well, I'm gonna be saying I'm gonna smash someone's face in, but I'm gonna remember the second part of that plan. This time, I'm gonna smash someone's face in, and I'm not gonna get my own face smashed in. That's the part I forgot last time. So I'm changing that part. So it'll be a 2-part call out. I'm gonna smash someone's face in, but I'm not gonna get my face smashed in.
Nice. That's 100% the plan. We'll let you go in a second, Dan. Really appreciate the time. Just out of curiosity, is there a press conference or anything next week? I don't know if fans will be in attendance, but a situation where you, Chandler, Conor, and Poirier are all going to be sitting together on a series of tables, or possibly one table.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. They haven't been doing that, but I think everything's pretty cleared up. That would be awesome if they could get everyone down there, and the energy and of everyone being in the same room would be cool. Having everyone bouncing off each other. That'll be far more exciting for the fans to watch than I know I have one on an Anzac Media Day coming up next week, and that one's on video. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get to do something in person with the media.
I'd love it. I think like a press conference with all of you guys, the main and the co-main event, would just be crazy. I think people are very thrown by the Kiwi dry sense of humor. They don't know how to take it. And I would love to see the havoc that wrecks on people. I think you should throw out a bunch of old school Conor McGregor quotes as well, but in very dry delivery. Just slip them in there, because Conor doesn't use this anymore. I think that would be great.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you think of this Conor McGregor that we're seeing in 2021, where a lot more restrained, not as much trash talk, and sort of more focused on the fight itself, less build up?
I feel like just because he is, that was like on the come up. That was to earn his seat at the table. He's hungry, he's wild, he's brash, he doesn't mind asking for things, and I feel like I'm in a similar position now. But now he's at the top, and any he's in the position where he gets to choose who he fights. So it's other people's roles to call him out to fight, or to get him interested in a fight is so it's a complete opposite. He doesn't have to go out there and sell fights anymore. He's a huge name. He's a household name. So the fights sell themselves.
And I know we've spoken a lot about this potential Dan Hooker Conor McGregor fight, which I would absolutely love to see. But in the case that Conor does lose against Dustin, which could very possibly happen, have you thought about that rematch with Dustin Poirier? I mean, it's still a fresh fight. It was one of the most exciting fights of the year for sure. But when you think back to it and the chance to possibly rematch him right around the corner, how does that feel for you? And also to get an opportunity to sort of get that W back.
Yeah, that's you always feel like you can make improvements or do things differently or do them much better. That's definitely one of those fights that I felt like I could have approached a lot better than I did approach that fight. So I would definitely it comes down to I want to fight whoever's standing between me and the title. Like that's my main focus. That's my priority is winning the belt. So it's anyone coming between me, and if that's Dustin Poirier rematch, then that's what it's mean. That what is it is what it is, and that's something I'm definitely prepared for.
Well, Dan, I got to be honest with you, man. For a long time now, we've had you on the program, and we always were trying to play matchmaker. We were always trying to say, what about this guy? What about that guy? And it was always hard, getting those marquee matchups. So do you feel like this is kind of you realizing that dream? You don't have to call anyone out. You got the big fight on a massive card, a card that might be the biggest card of the year, and this is really kind of, I guess, the next leap into title contention for you.
Yeah, but I called him out. That's just the way that the sport works.
It just worked for the first time in your life.
I've called everyone else out, but it's just not happened straight away. So I understand how it works. Like even if you ask for a fight or you shoot your shot, it might not be the next fight, but you're planting the seed. You're planting the seed in the fans' minds. You're planting the seed in the UFC minds. So it definitely grows. So it might not happen the next fight, but it could be this in 2 fights, in 3 fights. Like this is how these things work.
Well, Dan, I can honestly say we could chat to you for hours. It is always hilarious banter, always a great time. We wish you the best of luck. Follow him out on Twitter and Instagram at Dan the Hangman for more recipes, and check him out heating up his food with a hairdryer in Abu Dhabi and chilling by the pool. Of course, he's taking on Michael Chandler. Next weekend, UFC 257 on January 23rd, which is the 24th for anybody in Australia and New Zealand. UFC 257. Dan, thank you so much, man. Best of luck.
No trouble, lads. Thank you very much.